All right, good. It's morning right now. Yeah, 10:21. Good morning, mathematicians. I am going to walk you through your Moving Straight Ahead unit study guide, okay? So our test is if you are in 5th period, it's going to be on Friday. If you are in my even periods, then it is going to be on Monday. Okay, so with that, let's just dive straight in. Okay, so a pro tip, I would probably just, I labeled these graphs in each of these groups just A, B, C, D because that'll make things easier for yourself. You won't have to worry about, oh, I have to make sure this matches with this and this. This kind of gives us a foundation to start on, okay? So we've covered the graphs. We're good with those so far. Oops, I should cross that out better. Okay, and now our job is it says to match each table with a graph and its equation. Okay, so let's take a look at this first table here. I'm looking at table E. Okay, and how I would go about this is, well, remember that these are all coordinates, and all of these coordinates are supposed to be on one of these graphs. So let's go ahead and check to see if this is on graph A. So do I have -1? -1, well, let's see where that is. I'll plot it there. Boom, there we go. Okay, that's good. Do I have the point 0, 1? So 0, go up 1. Hey, there we go. Let's check the last one just to be safe. 2, 5, so find 2 on the x-axis and then go up 5. There we go. So it looks like table E is going to match with graph A. So I would write that there. Okay, so we got table E taken care of. Let's take a look at table F. I need -4, 4. So let's see, -4. I'm going to check graph B. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's -4. Go up 4. Nope, not graph B. Let's try graph C. -4. Going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up 4. There we go. Let's check to see if this has 3, -3. So 1, 2, 3, and then go down 1, 2, 3. Hey, there we go. And then 4, -4. Do we have that? 4, -1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, there we go. So graph F table F goes to graph C. Table F goes with graph C. There we go, halfway done. All right, let's check table G. So it says first point's 2, -3. So I'll check graph B. Actually, I'll erase those so that way I know which ones I haven't matched yet. Okay, so graph B, does it have 2, -3? So there's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, nope. So by process of elimination, the only remaining graph we have is graph D. So it looks like table C, table C, table G is related to graph D. And then that leaves table H for graph B. Okay, excellent. Now let's match the equations here. So I have all of my tables matched. I have all of my graphs matched. Now let's match some equations. I'm going to switch colors here. Okay, so x equals 2 is what I'm looking at. So do any of these tables here, have all of my x values equal to 2? That's a straight giveaway. So it looks like graph G is going to be my equation, x equals 2. So table G, so that would be graph D, that's going to be equation I. And there we go. So we found equation Y, and that goes with table G, which in turn goes with graph D. Okay, next one, -x minus 2. -x minus 2. So there are a few ways we can go about this. We talked about slope, we talked about y-intercept. So for me, I think an easy thing to do is take a look at the y-intercept here. This is my y-intercept, -2. Do any of these graphs or tables show -2 as my y-intercept? Well, it looks like graph B, you guys see that? This point is 0, -2. That's one of them. Actually, that's the only one. Hey, there we go. So graph B matches with equation J. So let's fill that in. Graph B is in my group 2 here, and that's equation J. Boom, there we go. Excellent. Okay, let's try equation K. Again, I'm going to look for this y-intercept here of +1. So on my graphs, do I have a y-intercept of +1 anywhere? There's no y-intercept in graph D. Y-intercept is 0 in graph C. We already did graph B. Look, there we go. In graph A, we have the y-intercept of 1. So I'm going to write that equation K matches with graph A and table E. And by process of elimination, what do we have left? Graph L, and graph L matches with, or equation L matches with graph C. And there we go. So remember, you guys, that lines, they can come in multiple forms. We can give you a line in the form of a table. We can give you a line in the form of a graph. And we can give you a line in the form of an equation. What you guys need to realize is that they're all one and the same. We can, if I give you one line, there's an equation for that line, there's a graph for that line, and there is a table for that line. Okay? All right, let's keep going. So now we're getting into what we've been practicing here. So reading the question and reading all of the directions like you should always be doing. To encourage new customers, a new movie theater is offering different ways to pay for a movie. So you can become a member for $22 a year, $22 a year plus $3 per movie. $3 per movie. This per is going to tell me something. That's very important, okay, especially when it comes to writing your equation. So $22 a year, which is flat, plus $3 per movie. Excellent. Okay. Next, I'm going to switch colors here because they actually tell me to switch colors. Non-members is $8.50 per movie. Per movie. Okay, so per is going to be, it's going to give me a hint when writing my equation. All right, so let's go ahead and fill out this table. It says make a table that shows the number of movies N, the cost for members M, and the cost for non-members capital N. Include values of N from 0 to 7. We're going to use one color for M and another color for N. So I'm going to use red for M. Oops, that's blue. I'm going to use red for M and then blue for capital N. Okay, so for members, let's start with members first. Members, remember, they pay $22 a year plus $3 per movie. So if I watch 0 movies, how much am I paying as a member? Well, hopefully you would say that you would have to pay for that membership, which is $22 a year. Since you didn't watch any movies, you're not going to pay any movie prices, okay? So next, if we watch one movie, we paid that $22, but now we're going to pay $3 for that one movie. So I'm going to write here. So I started with 22 and I'm going to add that $3. So my total cost comes out to $25. Okay, so I think you guys are starting to see a pattern here, hopefully. So for 2 movies, right, I'm just going to take my previous value and add 3 to that. So now I'm at $28. 3 movies, I add another $3, and that's going to be $31. And so on and so forth. Okay, so there's 34, there's 37, there is 40, and there is 43. So each time it looks like we are adding 3, adding 3, adding 3, okay? All right, now let's do non-members. So non-members pay a nice flat fee of $8.50 per movie. So if they watch 0 movies, hopefully that should be $0. Okay, and one movie, well, $8.50 per movie, so that's just going to be $8.50. Okay, you might want to get out your calculator now because now we have to add $8.50 over and over and over. So $8.50 plus $8.50, it's going to give me $17. Okay, and then add another $8.50. It's going to be, what is that, 25? Yeah, $25.50. Okay, and then adding another 50 cents, or $8.50, sorry. I believe that's $34. Okay, and then adding another $8.50, that's $42.50. Add another $8.50. Sorry, I'm doing this in my head. That's why it's taking me a little while. Add another 8 to... It's going to be... $51. Yeah, $51. And then add another $8.50. It's going to be $59.50. Sorry, I'm pausing because I'm double checking my math. Hold on. 2550 plus 850. Okay, no, we're fine. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now that we've created our table, we're going to move on to graphing these. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves, well, what is our independent variable? What's our dependent variable? Because that is going to help me label my axes. And remember, you must label your axes because if someone's just reading your graph, they're not going to know what these lines mean. So we need to give them some sort of indication. So our independent variable here is the number of movies that we watch. So number of movies. And they wanted from 0 to 7. So I think I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is just go by 2s. So I'm going to skip a line and go 2, skip a line and go 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Obviously we don't need all of those, but I just feel like I need to complete that. Okay, and let's take a look here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start my first tick on the y-axis. This is our cost, right? So the y-axis is related to our cost, and this is in dollars. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at my first tick mark here at $10, okay? I'm going to add this line here because it's not even spacing. So this line right here just tells me that it's not going to be even, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go up by 5s from that point on. Okay, so 15, 20, 25, 30, and if you found another unit to go up by, that is okay as well. Really all I care about is that you're graphing the correct points and they're in their correct positions. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start graphing these. I'm going to use my 2 colors. So I'm going to start with my memberships. So my members start at $22. Okay. So 0, 22. That's going to be somewhere right there. One movie costs $25. 2 movies cost 28. So somewhere like that. 3 movies is at 31. And yes, I would like you guys to graph these points, okay, because they are all part of our data. So they are all important here. So 434, 537, which is probably like right there, guesstimating a little bit. 6, 40, and 743, which is just above. Okay, and when you draw your line, make sure it's extending all the way through the graph, because lines go on forever, unless you tell them not to. Okay, and boom, there's our membership. So I'm going to label that M. Okay, N. All right, so N's, non-members start out at 0, 0. Okay, and 1 movie costs $8.50. That's going to be somewhere like right there. Okay, $2 is, or $2. 2 movies is $17.50, so somewhere here. Okay, Actually, forget about that first point because I drew this little squiggly line. That first point's actually going to throw off our data. So I'm going to include the 0 for 0 movies and go straight to 2 movies, okay? 3 movies is at $25.50, so just slightly above there. Okay, and then 4 movies is at $34, so about right there. 5 movies is at $42.50, somewhere there. And then 6 movies is at $51. And then 7 movies is at $59.50, which is actually off of our graph. Okay, let's connect some of these points. That is not a straight line. There we go. That's much better. And I have my 2 lines. Okay, now the following questions are all about these 2 lines that we just graphed. Okay, so we are going to be writing equations. So going back to some of the lessons before ski week. So remember, we need to think about what's happening for members. So we're going to say that the cost for members, right? What are we adding? What things are happening? Well, we know that we're starting with $22, right? That's how much it costs for this membership. And how much are we adding to that? That's the next question. It says $22 a year plus $3 per movie. So we're going to add $3, and what can we signify for the number of movies? Well, remember, per means to multiply, so we're actually going to multiply 3 by the number of movies. And in this case, we want any number of movies, so we're going to call it n. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and label these, what each of these mean. So M is for members. 22 is the membership cost, so I'll say cost per year, or cost each year. Okay, and $3, so this is the amount, and then this is the number of movies. There we go. Okay, now let's write an equation for non-members. So non-members is represented by capital N. So N equals, well, they're just paying $8.50, so we're going to do $8.50 per movie. Remember, per means to multiply. So per movie, and we said the number of movies is represented by N. And there we go. Now we have 2 equations. Okay. What is the slope of each line in part C? So what is the slope? So given these equations, what is the slope? Well, remember, the slope is just the coefficient of our variable. So the coefficients of our variables would be 3 and $8.50, or $8.50, 8.5. So the slope of the equation for members is going to be 3, and the slope of the equation for non-members is going to be $8.50, or 8.5. Okay. Next, what information does the y-intercept of each line represent about the membership and non-membership costs? So what information? So tell me, what do these values represent? Put these numbers, don't just give me numbers, tell me what the numbers mean. What do they represent? Okay. So if we think about it, we know that the y-intercept is where our line crosses the y-axis, yeah? That's what we know as our y-intercept. Okay, but we need to tell them in words, what does this represent about the costs? So let's think about it. So the cost for members, when they watch 0 movies, the y-intercept is 22. They have to pay $22. So in simpler words, we can say that the y-intercept of each line is just sorry, my pen kind of died there for a second. So the y-intercept represents the amount of money paid for how many movies? Well, for 0 movies. And that's what that information represents. Okay? So we need to put in words and we need to put meaning to these numbers. So the amount of money paid for 0 movies. And then here they actually ask, what are the y-intercepts? Well, the y-intercept for the members is 0, 22, right? That's what we wrote in our table here. And then the y-intercept for non-members is actually going to be 0, 0. All right, last question about the movies here. For what number of movies will the cost be the same for both members and non-members? So after how many movies will members and non-members pay the same price? Well, let's take a look at our table. Well, for one movie, members are paying $25, but non-members are paying $8.50. So not quite. We're gonna keep researching our table here. So 2 movies is 28 for members. So nope. 17 for non-members. Nope. That's not gonna work. Hey, look at this. Take a look at 4 movies. How much does 4 movies cost for each of the members and non-members? They're both $34. So let's say for 4 movies, members and non-members excuse me. Members and non-members pay $34. Okay, and explain how you found your answer. Well, how did we find the answer? We looked at the table. Yeah, we filled out the table and we found our answer. So honestly, you guys, I would say I used the table and saw that 4 movies costs 4 movies cost $34 for both. Okay, and that's a perfectly good explanation, because that's exactly what we did. We looked at our table and observed that, right? It just happened. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so does the table below represent a linear relationship? So this is what a lot of you guys like to talk about, linear relationships. So remember, linear relationships means, are we adding or subtracting the same value over and over and over? So we need to check both the x's and the y's. So to go from 0 to 1, how many are we adding or subtracting? Hopefully you notice we're adding 1. 1 to 2 is also adding 1. 2 to 3, and same with 3 to 4. So we're good on the x's, but the y's also need to be added or subtracted by the same number. So we're going to see 37 to 33. It looks like we're subtracting 4. Okay, how about 33 to 29? That's also subtracting 4. 29 to 25, same thing. 25 to 21, good. So first part of the answer says yes, it does represent a linear relationship. It is a linear relationship. Okay, the next part of the question, it's asking us, if so, write an equation for that relationship. This brings us back to lesson 4.2. Remember that linear equations are written most often like this: y equals mx plus b. You need to ask yourself, what are the 2 things that I need in order to write a linear equation? Those 2 things are my slope and my y-intercept. Those 2 things. So we've actually almost found the slope, right? Remember that we found this number, right? When we were looking at the x's, we found this plus 1. We were adding 1 each time. And this number represents my run, Remember, x's are always related to your run. So how much are we changing x by? By 1, so my run is equal to 1. My rise is related to y. Okay, so how much am I changing y by each time? So my rise is going to equal -4. So when I write my slope, when I write my ratio, rise over run, I should get something like this. My rise is -4, my run is 1, and this simplifies to just plain old -4. Okay, next. So we're good. We found our slope. Check mark. Now we need to find our y-intercept. We know that the y-intercept is where our graph crosses the y-axis, but how do we find that in a table? Well, there's also another part of our definition for the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is also is when our x coordinate is equal to 0. In our table, do you see x equal to 0 anywhere? Hopefully you notice that we started with 0 here. So my y-intercept is going to be at the point 0, 37. Now that you have a slope and you have a y-intercept, you can definitely write an equation of a line. All we're going to do is we're going to substitute the values in. Remember that our slope is m and our y-intercept is b. So y equals, we said m is equal to -4. That's my slope. I have an x attached to my slope always, plus my y-intercept, and that's going to be 37. And that is your equation. Okay, let's keep going. Now we have some equation problems. So let's go ahead and solve this. Let's set this up with our line going down the equal sign. Okay, so remember, always get rid of the constant first. Let's get rid of this -5. In order to do that, I'm going to do the opposite, which is +5, and I must do that to both sides of my equal sign. I'm going to simplify a little bit. These cancel out. Bring down your 4x. 4x is equal to, well, what's 39 plus 40 or plus 5? That's going to be 44. I almost gave you the answer there. Okay, here I have 4 times x, which is equal to 44. So in order to get x by itself, I need to divide by 4. If I'm multiplying by 4, I need to divide by 4 in order to get x by itself. These 4's cancel out. X is equal to, well, what's 44 divided by 4? That is 11. And that is my answer. So I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to highlight this. And I'm also going to circle this and draw huge arrows pointing to it, because so many of you do not like to show your work. You must show me your work, okay? Sorry if your headphones listener, hopefully that wasn't too loud. Okay, let's keep going. Ooh, this one's fun. Here we have an equation with variables on both sides of the equation. So we really need to recall, what did we do? What did we do when we had, going back to our gold pouches and gold coins, what did we do when we had pouches on either side of the equal sign? Hopefully you guys remember that we were able to cancel those out, and we can do the same thing here. We're going to treat our x's like they're pouches, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I see this plus 6x here, and I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides, okay? And I can only subtract 6x from this 8x because they both have x's attached to them, okay? That's something we call combining like terms, okay? But don't worry about that. This type of question here will most likely be an extra credit question on the test. So don't worry if this is scaring you, but hang in there. Okay, so these 6x's are going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down this 14. So 14 is equal to, well, what's 8x minus 6x? 8 minus 6 is 2, so I have 2 x's. And then I have this plus 2. This plus 2 I haven't done anything to, so I'm just going to bring it straight down. Okay, now this is starting to look a little better. Okay, this looks a little bit more familiar to us. So now I'm going to get rid of the constant here. So let's get rid of that. I see plus 2, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides of my equal sign. These 2's are going to cancel out. Bring down my 2x. 14 minus 2, well, that's 12. Okay, now I see 2 times x, so I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. So x is equal to, what's 12 divided by 2? Well, that's 6. And that's your answer. Okay, last equation. Here, I told you guys that whenever you see a number outside of parentheses like this, you need to distribute. Okay, so we're going to multiply 4 by each of those terms. So 4 times x is 4x. We're going to keep this minus sign here. 4 times 1 is 4. So now I have 4x minus 4, and that is equal to 44. Now I have something that looks familiar to me. So get rid of this constant first. I see minus 4. I'm going to add 4 to both sides in order to get rid of it. So these 4's cancel out. I'm going to bring down my 4x. 4x is equal to, well, 44 plus 4 is 48. So I see this as 4 times x is equal to 48. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by 4. These 4's cancel out. They become 1, which is what we want, which is x. And 48 divided by 4 is 12. And that is our solution. We're almost done. Kind of. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Use the following diagram to find the measurements of the angles. Wow, look at this. Guys, this is a lesson to you that, just because we're done with the unit doesn't mean that math is going to go away. Okay. So we're gonna review some of this here. So remember that all of the angles, so the angles in a triangle add up to how many degrees? They add up to 180 degrees. So when I'm looking for angle A, I know that if I add 25 plus 80 plus A, they should add up to 180. So let's see, what's 80 plus 25? 80 plus 25 is 105. Okay, and so now to figure out angle A, I'm going to subtract that from 180. So let's see what that is. So I'm going to borrow there, 5, 7. I have 75 degrees for angle A. Okay, now this is probably the trickier one of the two. So now that we know that angle A is 75 degrees, I need you guys to take a look at how angles A and B are related. So if I were to erase this blue line here, right? What would be the measure of the angle that's created there? See this purple mark? What's the measure of this angle? Well, hopefully you notice that angle is a straight line. So therefore, all straight lines measure 180 degrees. We also call those straight angles, okay? Because, straight line, straight angle. Anyway, these angles are always 180 degrees. So going back to what I have, I know that angle A is 75 degrees, so how much does that leave for angle B? Well, if you take 180 minus 75, you should get your answer. And there we go. So angle B is 105 degrees. Excellent. Okay, number 6, it says to write an equation and solve for A. Okay, this answer text is wrong, that should be an A. Okay, so again, using that same concept from question 5, if I were to erase this purple line here, I would create a straight line, correct? So I need to find the measure of this red angle here. But I don't know what this value of A is. I don't know what that is. That's what I'm trying to find. So what would happen? What would happen if I add a and 67 degrees? What should that equal? If it's a straight line, it should equal 180 degrees. There's my equation. So I got that. Now let's solve my equation. I'm going to subtract 67 from both sides. Subtract 67. And these 67s are going to cancel out. Bring down my a. It's nice because my a is what I'm solving for, and I didn't need to do anything, really, to get it by itself. It was already by itself. Now, 180 minus 67. Let's see. Let's borrow from here. So that becomes a 3. 7 minus 6 is 1, and I still have that 1 there. So angle A is 113 degrees. And there we go. Almost there, you guys. Last page. Okay, insert an equal sign or not equal sign to make each statement true. So remember, this is where we need to talk about our commutative properties. Remember, commutative means that the order in which you do your math does not matter. And there are only two operations in which the order does not matter. So that would be addition and multiplication. It does not matter which number you add first or which number you add second. Okay, you can actually switch things around and you will get the same exact answer. So for example, if I do 3 plus 5, that equals 8. It would be the same as doing 5 plus 3, which equals the same thing, right? So based on this, we should be able to tell whether or not these are going to be equal. So 15 minus negative 31 or negative 31 minus 15. Is subtraction commutative? No, it's not. So therefore, these are not going to be equal. You're going to get two different numbers. Question B, 22 plus negative 10, and then negative 10 plus 22. Is addition commutative? Yes, it is. So we are going to get the same exact number on both sides. So they are equal. Again, 2 times negative 7, negative 7 times 2. Question C, is multiplication commutative? Yes, it is. So therefore, we know that those two values are equal. Last one, question D, negative 9 divided by negative 3 and negative 3 divided by 9. Or negative 3 divided by negative 9. A division is not commutative, so therefore they are not going to be equal. Okay, and wrapping it up here, question 8 on this page requires us to review our order of operations, our favorite thing called PEMDAS. Okay, and I write it like this because you don't do multiplication before division. You actually do multiplication and division in order from left to right, and then same thing with addition and subtraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So in my order of operations, 9 minus 32 divided by 4. So division comes before any subtraction, so I must do this first. What is 32 divided by 4? So 9 minus 8. Now I can subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. There we go. Okay, I have parentheses here. That's what I need to do first. So now I'm going to bring everything down. 48 divided by 4 plus 4 is 8. Now I can do my division. 48 divided by 8 is 6. All right, here we go. I have parentheses. So 40 divided by 4 minus, well, what's 5 minus 3? That's 2. Now I have this. Next on the order of operations, do I have any multiplication or division? Yes, I do. 40 divided by 4 is what I have to do next. So that's going to be 10 minus 2. 10 minus 2 is 8. There we go. Let's keep going. I have parentheses. I need to do parentheses first. 5 plus 16 is 21. Bring everything else down. Divided by 7 minus 2. Okay. So I got parentheses. Don't have any exponents. Do I have multiplication or division? Yes, I do. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 3 minus 2 is just 1. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. I have parentheses, but I have 3 terms in the parentheses. I have addition and subtraction. So remember, if you have addition and subtraction, you're just going to do it from left to right. So starting with this, I have 31. Right, 6 plus 25 is 31, minus 7. Those are still in parentheses. We're going to divide that by 6. Okay, 31 minus 7 is 24. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And there we go. Okay, everybody, so we made it. Thank you for sticking through till the end. Hopefully, this has helped you prepare for the test. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Visit me during Bobcat. All right, I'll see you.